We just got back to the homestead, finally. Mom's taking a nap because she was sleepy. And I can tell it's been sunny because the road is not muddy. During the drive, I just edited last week's video. I don't know if I'm going to upload it or not yet. I changed a setting on my camera and it made the resolution super tiny. I might just upload it since it pretty much covers everything that I did to the garden, which is a lot last week. Oops. There are fire ants running all over. I actually don't know if those are fire ants. I've never had one of those guys bite me, but they are red. No deer stuck in the fence. Lots of weeds, so I'm gonna have to spend the next bit of time picking those. There's apparently been a spider catching these ants. Interesting. Oh, they're everywhere. Weird. I don't know what it is with ants this year, just acting crazy. I guess their little hill is right here. This one got a little too hot. These still haven't popped up yet. Now it's all dry. So I'm gonna have to water all those. Nothing popping up over here yet. Salad garden's super dry too. Looks like they're growing fine though. Those are growing fine. Those are growing fine. Ooh, it looks like our cauliflower is doing well. Those two are perking up. So, when we get straw, a lot of the problems I'm having right now actually won't be a problem anymore, because the straw, when we lay it down, is going to keep the water from evaporating from the soil, but it will also suffocate the weeds so that if any do pop up, they're big enough to pull pretty easily. But for the most part, everything seems fine. We lost one Roma tomato, but that one was pretty much dying anyway before I left. And we lost one eggplant. So in the future, if it's going to be super sunny, I'll cover the eggplants so they don't get too hot. I'm taking a break from weeding to show you the exciting things we brought back with us. So we were able to find a ton of pallets. I'm going to build a garden gate out of one or two of them. But the rest is just to have wood from, so maybe I'll build a rabbit pen. My grandma bought us a bench for $20. It's super cute. I'm going to put it in the rose garden. And then lastly, I bought a Honeycrisp apple tree. It has one little sprout down here. I wrapped it up in a blanket and bungee corded it down. I wasn't exactly sure where I was going to plant all the apple trees that I'm doing, or any of the fruit trees that I'm doing, but then my grandma reminded me that way back there is a clearing. I spread some of the poppies in that spot. I don't remember if I pointed it out or not, but it's just a big open clearing where some trees used to be and aren't anymore. So I am going to plant the fruit trees there. We will have to build like cages around them though, because the deer will eat them. It looks like we got it here without any broken branches, which I'm surprised by. I thought we would have broken a couple. I'll have to look into how many years it takes for an apple tree to get this big. It's about 8 feet tall. I might have to buy another companion apple tree this size so that they can pollinate each other, because my seedlings aren't gonna be big enough for a long time. I've upgraded from the little tweezers to these little tiny, whatever these are called. I'm done weeding for the evening. I still have quite a few squares left to do tomorrow, but I got all of these ones and then most of this side done. I also replaced the two eggplants that died with a jalapeno and a cayenne, and then the Roma with a jalapeno. Additionally, I planted my Elsa Craig onions in these two beds. They are the only ones that have sprouted. because I had to replant the other 2 varieties, so those will have to be planted a little bit later. I've thinned out a few of the squash because a few of them had this sort of thing going on where more than one was growing in the same pot. I haven't thinned all of them though. I do need to thin these Brussels sprouts though and plant one of them in this bed because these ones actually do also have multiples. It's May 30th now, first thing in the morning. I've come back to finish the weeding before it gets too hot to do anything. I'm also working on some writing. Babu is sunbathing in the corner as usual. And as I go, I'm also burying the tomatoes up to their first leaves again, since they've gotten a little taller. And that's just because any part of the stalk that touches soil will turn into roots. So that just expands the root system so that they have a better chance of surviving when they're older. My aunt bought some praying mantises and she put one in my garden and I just found it. It's this little white thing right there. That's our little baby praying mantis hanging out on the oregano. I actually didn't expect to see it at all because we spread about 2,000 ladybugs and I haven't seen any, but I guess he just wanted to hang out here. I bought 1 roll of deer fence and I'm gonna go finish the fence in the second garden. There's a little nomadic bee flying around. It's very hard to see them, they're very small. Where are you, little nomadic bee? Right there. They actually look a lot like false bees, which are those like flies that look like bees, but they are actually bees. They don't have a hive, they just live on their own. And those are actually the ones that are going extinct. We got straw! I'm so excited to do things with my straw. It was only $6 for a big sized bushel. I thought they were like $15, but I guess that was just their unit number. And if you're wondering what the straw is actually for, it's for a few things. First of all, it's going to cover the garden beds after I've weeded them, and that will keep the weeds from growing back as much. Some will still grow. We might also get hay growing because there are hay seeds in here. But it'll be a lot less than it is now. And by the time they get up through the straw, they'll be big enough that we can pick very easily. Additionally, since it's a lighter color, it'll keep the soil from absorbing as much heat as it has been so that the roots won't essentially bake. And it'll keep the water from evaporating when it gets hot out, which is what it's been doing. Fortunately, the water hasn't been evaporating too badly because since the top of the beds get like hard and start cracking like that, those hard caps on everything actually keep the water inside underneath. But the hay is what I was planning to use, or the straw was what I was planning to use from the beginning, because it'll make a lot of things a lot easier. Additionally, the straw will be used to fill these potato beds the rest of the way, because potatoes will actually grow in straw, and it'll be a lot easier to dig them out at the end of the year than it would be to like dig out all of the soil. So once I've covered all the beds, then I will start with those potatoes. The full-length straw is a little bit of a hassle to mess with, so what I'm gonna do is cut it into little pieces into this bucket, which should make it a lot easier to use. I'm gonna go back to weeding now. I've used about 1/3 of the hay bale, filled up both of those tubs. I'll probably add more and more hay as that hay like compresses down. I have a little blister on my finger because there's a piece of tape on my shears from where I bought it. So now I have a little blister there. And I also covered all of the potatoes over here in a layer of straw so that I don't have to mess with like all the branches and stuff like I did over there. So the potatoes will just grow through this straw, hopefully, unless that doesn't work, but I think it should. I've decided I want to try planting some potatoes in this box here, so
this is going to be the top, the side is going to be the top, and then on each of these sides there's like this little gap there, so I'm just cutting those away on both sides, and then on the bottom I'll have some drain holes. But what I'm going to try doing is putting straw on the bottom, a layer of dirt, more straw on top up to, and then on the sides up to here, more dirt, more potatoes, and then another layer of straw, and then hopefully some of the branches should be able to grow through here, and some of them should be able to grow through the top. The first layer of straw and dirt is completed, so I'm going to be putting 4 of these blonde fingerling potatoes in this layer. The second layer will be black fingerlings, and the reason why is because I want to see which layer grows better, the top one or the bottom one. So at the end we'll do a tally of how many have grown. Okay, I've cut another hole on that side. I'm actually going to leave this side uncut just to keep the box somewhat stable, since I still have to carry it around and everything. 3 sides though seems like about the same amount of light as this one top side gives. Second dirt layer, I didn't do the dirt all the way to the edges because I don't want it to all fall out those little windows I made. And then I have my black fingerlings. And I'm hoping that once it like rains and this compresses down, it's not gonna want to go out the sides as much. It is completed. Now we just have to wait 3 months to see if it works. And now back to weeding, because I keep finding things to do other than weeding, which is why I'm here. It's a good thing we started digging this mountain early, because look how tall the grass is already.
There's a huge storm. I think it might even be hailing. It sounds like it is. But I didn't cover any of the plants last night because I didn't know it was supposed to rain at all. So hopefully they're not all dead. We'll find out when I go over there. I'm hoping it's not hailing and that it's just raining hard. It's too wet to see if there's any hail on the ground or not. But every once in a while it sounds like there's hail hitting the roof. It is May 31st and we survived the thunderstorm. I don't know if the plants did, but we'll go see in a little bit when I feel like walking outside.
It's actually pretty warm out, so I might be able to get some work done today. We'll see. I checked on the garden. Pretty much everything looks to be in order. It seems like the wind blew the gate open though. So maybe I'll find something that the deer ate later. My onion seedlings have been flooded in their pan. I think they'll still sprout, but they're probably going to be all mixed up together, so I won't know which ones are which.
It's funny though, she reacted when I said sweater.
You want your sweater?
She's like,
You want your sweater?
She's like, I don't know what that is.
Sweater!
She's like, no. I wanted a snack.
I know. She thought I was going to give her a snack.
She looks so mad. Are you offended?
Want a cracker?
Yay! Yum yum.
So we've been trying to put up the second layer of fence for a while now, and it's not working. We're trying to put up this metal chicken wire, but the problem is there's this middle seam in all of them, and that seam doesn't stretch like the rest of the wire, so the tightest you can physically get it still isn't tight enough to keep it from sagging. So instead what I'm going to try doing is putting 8-foot wooden posts every few feet, which should help support this fence as well as the one above it, but we'll see if that works. I have to measure out the fence and dig all the holes first, and I might not even be able to dig the holes since there's a lot of rocks here. Since I'm not working on the fence anymore, I have decided I'm going to try and plant some of these garlic bulbs before it gets too late. I need to find where I put my big white pot though. Oh, I see it in the greenhouse. Okay. There's so much pollen in the air that when it rained, it washed it all out, and now all of the water buckets have this yellow line around the edge. I thought it was acid rain, and then I remembered there's pollen everywhere. We're in the countryside, so there's not really acid rain out here. One of our strawberries is growing little berries. I'm so excited. I need to plant the other 3. We've had a casualty. One of the apples died suddenly. I don't know how. But these 2 are okay, so I'll just plant a new one. So I've planted, I think, what is it? 8, 9, 10, 12 little garlic cloves in here. I'm gonna bury them, and then I'm gonna cover them in a thin layer of straw. I'm not filling this whole thing to the top, but it seemed like the most useful container to use right now because I don't really have any more containers. This isn't all the garlic we have, it's just the garlic that fit. I'm done in the garden for the night, and I got the tomato bed completely mulched. I also covered the tomatoes up because I'm not sure if it's supposed to rain again or not, and since this is Montana, there's always a chance of hail, and I don't want hail to break my tomatoes. Even though I already accidentally break my tomatoes pretty much every time I go near them. I accidentally snapped a branch off of one of my Pantana Romanescos, and I'm sad because it was like the main branch with all the little baby leaves on it, so that one will have to catch back up. Ooh. Are you living on soft food now? Are you so happy?
She does like soft food better.
Yeah, she's actually eaten twice today. She's not been eating her food lately, even though it used to be her favorite food ever. But she's graduated to old lady soft food, which is her dream come true. If anybody is sitting in this chair, Babu doesn't react to anything you do because she thinks you have food if you are sitting here, so.
She only reacts to the person in the chair. She stares at them the whole time.
And then anything anyone else.
Anything and she just ignores me because she's busy staring at the chair.
I was so proud of Babu. I thought she ate her dry food. It turns out Mom threw it away because she wasn't eating it. I was like, oh yay, Babu finally ate her food. But no, she just got thrown away.
She hadn't eaten it in like 4 days, so.
So, your dry food has been retired until you forget what it tastes like and think it's a treat again.
Yeah.
Now that we've pretty much wrapped up for the day, the sun has, again, come out. It does look like there are actually clouds on the horizon this time, though, so maybe it'll get rainy again. Tomorrow we're gonna try and plant the squash in the second garden, even though it's not technically finished. And we're gonna cover each of the individual plants with deer netting until we can get the walls up. So hopefully that works, because that garden's about 90% of my plants. The fence is probably the first real hurdle we've actually had since starting the homestead. Everything else has kind of worked itself out. Good morning. It is June 1st, also known as planting day, by which I mean today was the day I originally intended to plant everything, except I already planted most of it 2 weeks ago. So we're going to plant the rest of the plants in the second garden and cover them individually in deer netting until they're too big, and then we'll figure out the fence later. I haven't showered yet because it is very cold inside the campers, even though it's like 70 outside. So we only have cold water, we don't have heated water. So I will shower after I've been working for a while in the sun. I'm still wearing the same clothes as yesterday because I figured there's no point in messing up another outfit before I've showered. Babu, high five. High five. High five. Oh yay! High five! Oh. She was doing
She's
it.
never gonna learn it.
I know, she'll do it for a little bit and then she'll immediately forget.
I've got her to do it one time to me, and that's
Oh, I've got her to do it a few times. But she'll do it like 5 times, like at the same time, like in a row. And then if you stop doing it for like an hour, she forgets what she's supposed to do. I'm warming up a huckleberry pie I bought at the farmer's market. We're gonna put ice cream on it, but the ice cream melted, so it's actually just strawberry flavored cream. Foam, yeah, it like kept its consistency, so it should work. It looks like whipped cream, basically. High five. Yay!
Yay! High five! Yay!
Alrighty, we've eaten our pie, and it is time for me and my gross clothes to plant some plants. I need to put a little marker right here because that's where my microphone is and I keep covering it. Actually, I'm gonna get my little stick, my camera stick. I found it yesterday. I've been looking for it. And it's much easier to use. I take it off when I have to change the SD card. I should have known it was in there. That's where we edit the videos. We're gonna pile all of the pots into the wagon. And we're gonna bring the wagon all the way down to the second garden. I'm also gonna try and plant the apple tree today, but I need to build like a convoluted cage around it using our fencing before I can do that. Because who knows how many years it's been in that pot. Are you? Babu, stop smoking. Yes, just sunbathe. Her eyes are so watery. I need to get her allergy medication, but I keep forgetting to buy it when we're in town. But like her eyes are just so watery, she just looks sad all the time. Babu! I'm gonna lock you in the garden if you don't come.
We're leaving.
Bye, Babu!
We're gonna leave you here.
She doesn't even care. She's just like, this is where the sun is, this is where I'm staying.
That's like I told Jacoby one time when he was about 5, we were at McDonald's and I said, well, I'm gonna leave you here, and he's like, okay, bye.
Oh, bye-bye! We've got all the squash, some rhubarb, and then some bags of different fertilizer I have. I'm gonna use the rest of the tomato fertilizer just on whatever I have, and then I have a bag of regular vegetable fertilizer in the garden. Oh, there's Babu! Run, Babu, run on your little legs. Oh, you're getting so chubby after 2 days of eating normal food. As with all my gardens, I have all the planting plan in my homestead journal. Some things may not get planted because last time I checked, none of the acorn squash were sprouted, so I might put a different kind of squash in those spots. Alrighty, so I have laid out all of our little squashes in their beds. It looks like the only ones that never sprouted were the table kings, so I'll have to replace something with those. Replace those with something, and then bed E, which is that one. That one, okay, wait, let me see. Oh, that's actually this one. So this one, bed E, the 4th row actually doesn't have anything planned for it, so I'm gonna plant some squash that I bought at the store, like some seeds I bought a couple days ago for next year, but since I have space, I'll just plant those now. Currently I have extra butternut spaghetti squashes, 2 of those. Those are rhubarb. I'll put them somewhere. I just haven't decided where yet. But once I've started thinning out the plants, I might have more extras to put in various places. In some of these beds, I have two of the same squash, kind of like that, and that's just because those are the ones that I had to separate from each other that were growing together in the same pod. So after I separated it, I planted each one so that I can see which one survives. And if both of them survive, I'll take the extra one to the community garden. So our list of things that we still have to do before the homestead is ready for everything is finish the fence over here, make it taller because the deer can just jump over that. They don't even have to try very hard. Build the 2 trellises that are going in the middle of those. Cut all of this mulch and mulch everything after it's sprouted. Build this gate here, probably out of pallets, maybe not, we'll figure it out. Build the drip watering system for this garden using these rain bins. We need to plant all the potatoes in these beds, in these bins, and also melt holes in the bottom. Possibly install a proper gate here, because I hate this gate. Build a cage for this apple tree and plant it in the field. Install a support in the middle of the trellis so it stops sagging. And then we also need to build the trellis for the tomatoes. It's just going to be a cage around it with strings hanging down. And as of now, that's all I can think of, but I'm sure there's other stuff.